and welcome to the virtual nature school. Wherever you are in the world, you're very welcome. We've been looking this week in our inquiry at shadows, and we've been narrowing it down to think about shadow as a performance. We've been thinking about opacity, we've been thinking about translucency, transparency. So there's been a lot of science in here. We've been thinking about dimensions and size and scale. So we've been doing a lot of mathematical planning. We've been thinking about linguistics, about the language that we use, the story that we tell. And so our language storyline has been enriched by thinking about adjectives, about the nouns and the verbs. So we've been doing language and we've been immersing ourselves in a whole creative process. So today, it's our last day, our culmination of all of our work around the designing of a puppet show. Normally, people decide that they're going to have an audience, but there are things that we need to do to get ready for sharing our puppet show that our film is going to explore. Let's have a look and see if it sparks off any ideas.
Welcome to our inquiry around shadows. We are going to be able to share our shadow shows. We're going to be able to share what we've been doing because we've been working so very hard in preparation for sharing our ideas. Let's think about what else we need to make. And in our talking tub, we're just going to be thinking a little bit about the details. So this sign says, buy tickets here. So you might decide as part of your shadow performance is to make yourself a little place where people can come and pretend to buy some tickets. Now, later on, we'll be thinking about using money because often when we're little, we don't get to see real coins. So it's rather exciting to be able to have a little pot of real coins that we can use in our pretend shop. You might decide that you want to get some chairs out for the audience. You might decide that you want to give those chairs numbers. It's time for popcorn or another healthy treat that you've decided to have as part of your theatre show. We've been thinking about containers, and do you remember in all of our inquiries, we've been talking about shapes. So this cylinder shape is one possibility. It's like a big cup. Here are some others. You might decide today to make yourself a little bag, or what we used to call in Scotland a wee poke, or a little cone that you can put a twist in at the top and serve your popcorn in there. Or you might decide to decorate a cup. Now, here's the interesting thing. Do we know where popcorn comes from? Because we've been talking about all sorts of different foods over our inquiry, and popcorn, you might think, was pretty obvious because it's corn. It comes from a corn on the cob, which we were looking at when we thought about making the leaves. Well, popcorn doesn't use the leaves, it uses the yellow bit, but not fresh like this. What we do is we dry that popcorn, and so it becomes beautiful and dry, and we can peel off all of those little corn kernels and store them safely in the dry. And then when we get a pan or something hot, it makes those little popcorns go pop, and they turn into these lovely fluffy things that we can eat. There are lots of different ways of cooking popcorn, but this is the way that we use at Nature School. We get 2 sieves, want them the same size if you can. We get a little bit of wire and we get a very long pole. Then what we do is we turn one of those sieves upside down. And that's because what we're going to do is attach them to a long stick to be able to make a sugar, to be able to make something to cook our popcorn in. So the first thing you want to do is to wrap that wire around the handle of the sieve onto the long piece of wood. Then what you want to do is to get another bit of wire and use the little hook, the little loop at the end of the sieves and make a little hinge. That means that when you put one sieve on top of the other sieve, we can shake them over the fire and we can cook popcorn. Now, you might decide that you don't want to cook popcorn, and that's fine. But it's always quite nice to have a little bit of a treat when we're watching a show. So you might decide to get your lunch ready, get yourself all laid out, get a nice table mat, and then we can watch the show together whilst we're sharing our food at lunchtime. We always like pretending shops, and so when you buy things like popcorn or a drink at the cinema, you have to pay your money. So this is some of the money that we use, and often when we go shopping now, we don't use money like this, we use a card. But it's always really good for us to understand what all these coins are and how much they are worth. You might want to have a little look at some coins and start talking a little bit about money. And then when you pretend you're shop, you can then use those coins and people can come and buy their popcorn or their ticket from your little shop that you've created. Your audience. Well, your audience, the people watching your puppet show, might be your family. If you haven't got a family with you and you still want to watch, that's fine. You might want to decide to get yourself a little soft toy, get yourself set up, and they can be the audience to watch either your own show or to watch the rest of us in the virtual nature school. I can't wait to see some of the amazing performances, your lovely shadow sharing. It's a lovely time where we can really celebrate all the effort we've been putting in to make our characters, to make our scenery, to think about the sounds and perform. I look forward to seeing you soon.
So we've made our signs. Whether you're 2 years old and you're making a sign like this to welcome us into the puppet show, or you're an older member of our community and you've made a complicated ticketing system along with a popcorn machine, along with seating plans, however you decide to share your puppet show, I really hope you enjoy it. It's been a full week of looking at scientific concepts. We've been looking at linguistics and mathematics, so we've had a completely intercurricular moment. The best thing about it all is when you do inquiry-based learning, we don't know where our journey is going to end up. What we do know is that we all want to share that moment with each other. Have a fabulous time, and I look forward to seeing your films when you upload them into our Facebook groups. Enjoy!